Chapter 17. A New Hope, Nier. I was half asleep lying next to the twins when I heard 2B9S and E6 discussing a mission they just received. The mission logs state this is to be a search and destroy mission in terms of the congregating machine lifeforms streaming into the desert zone. 9S clarified, and as I rolled over to try to wake up I was held firmly within a 2's arms as she was the most physical in her affections, and after we learned that my magic passively made me strong enough to withstand her weight on my chest, she wasted time in claiming that as her spot to sleep on almost every night. Needless to say, having 300 pounds of dead weight on your chest makes it hard to move, but my motions did seem to awaken her. Morning A2. I snickered lightly seeing the normally so stubborn android hate waking up as she buried her face into my chest in response to my calls. Good morning, Jake. 9S called out energetically, but I could only yawn in reply as the sounds woke up the twins lying beside me, and they both sat up stretching after they extracted their arms from around me. Morning, 9s. I answered happily, making her grin at me using her nickname that 2B refused to use. I tapped into my wind mana and gently encased A2 in solid wind and then picked her up, and as she woke up from my admittedly poor attempt at moving her without waking her, I managed to evade her grasp and stand up from my bed. So how long will the trip be in the desert? I asked as I ignored the pitiful groans of A2 and made myself some breakfast. 2B shrugged. I am not sure, as we were simply told to search and destroy the machine lifeforms that enter the desert, so it will depend on how long it takes us to find where they are congregating. Fair enough, I replied, and made no mention of following them or something equally stupid. I will not be trekking for God knows how long within the desert with only the supplies I could carry on my back. I thought disgusted at the thought, and there was also the fact that I would also be pissing off all the Yoarha model androids should I force myself into their mission, because they would be forced to place protecting me over the mission should some Goliaths or something come. 9S looked surprised at my candid answer before a frown came across her face. Wait, Jake, you don't plan on just waiting for us to leave and try to follow us or something, do you? I snorted at her suspicions and answered her as I gestured at the pale skin on my arm. Look at this pale skin, descended from Sweden. Do you think my kind belongs in a desert? I could see the twins nodding at my answer. Devola giggled as she confirmed my words. Yeah, such pale skin would burn horribly, and he will be peeling for weeks probably. Those were the wrong words, as the androids that didn't understand human anatomy tensed at the words, with E6 holding me possessively to her chest as she cried out as she pulled me onto the couch. We can't let Jake get burned by the sun and die. Before the twins could answer and clear the confusion, I was currently buried face first in android titty, so I couldn't answer, but it got worse as 2B spoke to her pod. Command, how should we handle the possibility of Jake going out into the sun and burning to death, or likewise being tortured by the sun peeling his skin off? I was deadpanning so hard into E6's chest. What am I? A vampire? I shouted mentally. I couldn't help but giggle into E6's chest as I heard her pod's response. Well, from our data which comes from the City of London, apparently the sun is covered for more than half the year, especially around spring and fall, allowing humans to farm and set up for the sunny days so they can all return to their bunkers and otherwise fortified buildings. I couldn't really deny her words. I gave her breasts a hard love bite, making E6 squirm, and with an audible pop, I managed to break the seal around her tits and my head, which made A2 lift her head confusedly from her pillow and glare at E6 hogging me. But with my head free I could now speak. You guys got so many things confused, huh? I laughed, making them all pause in confusion, and the twins deflated in relief at me taking control of the situation. It only took a few minutes for me to explain how humans get sunburnt and how our body would get rid of the burnt skin by shedding it off, and 2B surprised me heavily when she asked. Do you humans collect the skin scraps like birds collect their lost feathers to fortify and insulate their nest? For a moment I was reminded of that one villain for Austin Powers, Goldmember, who would eat his large skin pieces, making me almost gag at the thought. No. I answered dryly. Well, either way. Good luck on the mission, and be careful, all three of you. I warned the Yoarha models, making them nod, and within the next 5 minutes, they had prepared to leave the bunker. Jake, could I get a hug? 9S muttered, and then launched into an explanation of how she learned that when humans temporarily part from one another they would do so, and wanted me to do it for her. I just rolled my eyes as I opened my arms. Of course, 9s, come over here, I have all the hugs within the world in my arms. She launched herself into my arms, and thankfully my magic made me strong enough to take the speeding android into my chest with only a mild grunt of effort, but that didn't stop me from bear hugging the petite android into my arms, making her giggle in joy. I could feel her petite body molding itself to my body as she pressed her full body and even wrapped a leg around my own as she sought all the contact she could, and through my thin t-shirt I could feel the smaller handfuls of her breasts pressing into my stomach. Finally, I pushed her back a bit, making her pout, but my kiss on her forehead made her literally steam somehow. "Come back to me safely, Nines, and you can have another as a reward for doing so well." I met her blossoming grin with my own and then sidestepped her and opened my arms in an offer to 2B. 2B, would you like a hug? I offered with a knowing smile, but despite how she clearly longed to join my hug, she merely shook her head, but her reply surprised me. "I will take that hug and more for a reward well done, but not before completing my mission," she said proudly. In E6 clearly disagreed, wanting all of the above before and after the mission, but she clearly had to follow the role model behavior of 2B and grumpily moved to follow them as they walked out of the bunker. But the words following her out the door made her slam the bunker's door violently. "Yeah, while you go out into the desert and get sand stuck in all your filters and holes, I am going to be getting fucked all day." A 2 yelled, laughing at how 9S tripped at her words, and the wordless snarl and slamming door was E6's response.